Okay, welcome everybody to Saratoga Whiskey Club tasting number 170. This is our last tasting of 2024. We've had a lot of tastings this year. I don't know, probably close to 25 tastings or so this year, a lot. But we did start this really fun journey through all of Scotland's distilleries, A to Z. 2 months ago, we did our first tasting where we got through the first 6 letters. Now we're doing part 2. We figure this journey is going to take about 4 years. We'll see who's still with us at the end of this journey. Hopefully we all are. But we are doing some pretty fun whiskeys tonight. I'm sure a lot of these are things that you've never had before. Some might be a little familiar in flavor profile, but I bet a lot of these are new. And the way we're going to do this is we're going to walk through each whiskey in order by letter. It's not designed by palate or flavor profile. So if we get a really peaty one and then we move to a real delicate one, well, that's just part of the journey. So you're going to have to drink a lot of water, clear your palate as best you can with some crackers, maybe some dark chocolate. I forgot cucumbers tonight. I'm really sorry, guys. Cucumbers are always great, but there was one thing I did forget tonight, and that was, oh, water droppers too. They're on the barrel. I'll grab those in a second. All right, so we're going to start off tonight with Annandale. A lot of people have never heard of Annandale before, and I actually have videos on most of these distilleries, which is really the best way to kind of learn about these distilleries and see what they look like and to get a sense of what they're doing. But they're a younger distillery that it kind of was revived in 2007, but it really wasn't until 2014 that they really started producing, and that's when the visitor center was open. And their first cask didn't come out until 2017. So they've been producing whiskeys now for the last 7 years. What we're drinking tonight, and if you want to go ahead and start sipping on this, that's fine. We're going to play a little video here in a second. But this bottle that I got, I had it shipped over because we can't really get Annandale here in the States. This one's called Man of Words. The words links to the next word, so it almost looks like Man of Swords just because of that there, and who knows if it's a play on words or not. But this is a vintage Annandale. This is matured in an authentic Oloroso sherry butt. It's 60.7%. It was distilled in 2015. And I know somebody's going to ask when it was bottled.
When was it bottled?
When was it bottled?
25 years. 29.
I don't know. I'll have to look. I'll look while the video is playing. But
was it a single cask?
Yes, single cask. Yep.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to play this video so you get a little bit of sense of the distillery. Let me make sure I can do this right. There might be a little YouTube advertisement, so just bear with me if that's the case.
No.
Please. We'll do closed captions because, oh, unavailable on this one. All right. All right, here we go.
The Annandale Whisky Distillery is situated in the southwest of Scotland, close to the village of Anna. The region carries the name Dumfries.
Oops. It's going to take a...
and Galloway and belongs to the lowland. The frontier to England with the famous Gretna Green is not far away. You need 15 minutes by car to reach.
Here, hold on a second while it buffers. Let me just get the captions on and go back.
Right.
Why this doesn't drink like 60%?
That we could say.
The Annandale Whisky Distillery is situated in the southwest of Scotland, close to the village of Annan. The region carries the name Dumfries and Galloway and belongs to the lowland. The frontier to England with the famous Gretna Green is not far away. You need 15 minutes by car to reach the distillery from the A74, which passes Gretna Green. The distillery was already founded in 1830. It produced whiskey for nearly 100 years. Johnny Walker bought the distillery in 1893. It worked until 1924. In the early 20s, a lot of heavy strikes paralyzed the British economy, and Annandale had to close, like a lot of other distilleries. It never opened again in the 20th century. The distillery buildings were used as a farm in the following decades. The world-famous whiskey traveler Alfred Barnard visited the distillery around 1890. His report is still enjoyable in the facsimile issues of his book. Back then, the distillery produced 28,000 pure gallons per year, which equals 130,000 liters. There's not much left of the old distillery equipment. The old chimney shows where the stills had been in former times. The new boiler for the process heat is located inside the half-circle shaped new building where the vapor rises. The distillery was bought in 2007 by David Thompson and Teresa Church. The renovations started from 2011. But the first cask was not filled before November 15, 2014, because of the findings of the foundation walls of the former still house, with its 2 pot stills. Today, this is an official historic site. The site is secured today by a rough iron fence.
Here, we don't have to watch the whole thing, but I just wanted to, let me see if I can move up here past the historical. Yeah, here we go.
The sieving machine for the barley corn and malt mill are placed upon each other in the classic way. The malt is transported by the beige elevators. The temperatures in the process are checked by simple control elements.
Old school.
The 6 washbacks and the typical 3 stills for a lowland distillery are placed in the present-day main building. The modern mash tun is covered with a copper lid and is placed in front of the washbacks. The distances between the equipment are held short. Inside the mash tun, you see the stirrer and the sieves. The sieves are there to hold back the peel of the barley corn. The outlet to the Ardbeg is located at the bottom. The wash still with a little observation window in the neck is placed in the back of the still room. The intermediate and spirit stills have hollow bowls between pot and neck. They are called reflux bowls and lead to a better distillation. The spirit and sample safe is located between the intermediate and spirit still. The condensers were erected outside for a better cooling. The stills were produced, as so many others, by Richard Forsyth from Rothes. They are heated
Richard
indirectly
Forsyth.
by hot steam.
Like it does change the meaning, maybe, but no, like if I see it, then.
That's pretty funny.
Kind of like-
All right, let's see. That might be it. Let me just I just want to kind of get a sense of how big it was. Really not very big.
You can
Obviously.
easily see the spindles and thermometers
Yeah,
for the
visitor
measurement
center.
of the ABV of the hot raw whiskey.
Yeah.
Both the wash still and the intermediate still run full throttle.
Is this like a typical expression for them, Charles?
The spirit still got its own.
So let me get to that. Okay, so as we saw, not a really big production, pretty small. So when I was going online and looking for bottles for this tasting, there weren't a lot, obviously, because they're fairly young distillery. But they do play around a lot with sherry. So that's something that I noticed quite a bit. There were a lot of like special releases and single casks as well. They weren't inexpensive. They were all fairly, they were 100 pounds or more in general for these single casks. They weren't, cheap entry level releases, but it says here single cask, single malt bottlings continue at Annandale with a strong ethos of the more obscure casks with their founders selection range, a range of bottlings hand selected by the co-owner, and says onward from the new bottling, casks have been the priority of Annandale Distillery, now providing 2 ways to buy. So there's quite a bit of investment going on where you can buy your own cask with them as well. And then the accolades, they won the Jim Murray Best Single Cask Single Malt 10-year and under for both the Mano Sword and the Mano Words. So they actually won. We're drinking the Mano Words 2015 vintage, which is the exact one that we're drinking. This one, Jim Murray Best Single Cask Single Malt 10 years and under. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, when you travel around Scotland, you don't see a lot of Annandale. There's a couple of shops that have it, but we weren't even close to those shops, so I wasn't able to buy anything directly. I had to order this online. What do you guys think of this?
I like it.
I do too.
Yeah. For what it is, for being pretty young for a Scotch.
I mean, it has that sherry kind of funk note to it, especially on the nose.
Yeah, it's kind of oily.
It did, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't try it.
It almost has like a Grigalicky kind of a funk to it.
What do you think in terms of condensers, Holly? Those are shell and tube outside. You saw where the necks went outside. It
I
wasn't.
wasn't watching, unfortunately.
Ah, okay. Gotcha.
I got caught in
I mean, it
class.
almost looked like it could have been worm tubs outside.
If the condensers are outside of the building, it's going to condense quicker
Right, and they
because
mentioned
it's sitting
that.
cold. So essentially, it would be less copper contact,
Mhm.
but not. I don't know. I didn't see. Was it shell and tube outside?
They didn't show a picture, so.
Oh, okay. It could be. A lot of places do
Yeah.
have them outside. So
Right. It is kind of, the only reason I ask is because of the little bit of funkiness to this.
could be from the sherry though too, because I'm
Yeah.
getting a lot of sherry, kind of like fruit must.
Yeah,
Say fully matured or finished?
no, this is fully matured.
Can we see the bottom?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't have, it doesn't taste like a sherry bomb though. I mean, it's
Yeah.
very, it's more the oiliness and the sulfur. I get more vanilla than I do fruit.
Is everything from them typically peated? Do we know?
This isn't
Or
heated.
I'm sorry. Is everything from them typically sherry? Like, are they?
Oh, I think they do a lot. Let me just look real quick. There were actually quite a few
Yeah.
bottles available where I got it from. So
Yeah, that's why
let's see here.
I added a little bit of water already and I started getting a little bit of like a cocoa powder. On the
Okay.
palate.
So you're gonna, wait a minute, this can't be the one, is it?
Charlie McLean's book says that it's shell and tube.
Oh, okay, great. Thanks, Dave. Okay, so the one that we are drinking, what's the ABV on it? 60.2? 60.7?
That's hard.
Okay, here's the one we're drinking. So let's see here. Yeah, they're not actually giving an age statement on this one.
60.7.
Yeah, 60.7. So the other ones that they sell, let's see, sherry cask, cherry cask, sherry cask, bourbon cask. So they do have some single bourbon cask expressions as well. It does say anything about finishing on this bottle. I think it's full maturation. It's young though. This isn't going to be. This is probably like 4 or 5 years old.
Does it say sherry butt or just sherry cask?
I think
It does say butt on it.
yes.
Sherry butt.
That's why it's probably less sherry influence because it's a huge
Yeah.
cask. Because you get it, it's like a very nice, soft, dried fruit sherry.
Yeah, I took Luke's advice and I added some couple of drops of water, and it gets rid of some of that funk and does bring out some chocolate notes.
They said it was an authentic Oloroso sherry.
Authentic Oloroso sherry butt too.
Oh, yeah.
Does that mean American or European oak?
Not a fake one.
No, there's somebody stealing the bottles.
It doesn't say how long it was in the butt.
Mm.
Doesn't say how long it was in the butt.
That sounds weird.
It was in the butt for a short period of time. Oh, sorry. Oh,
That's what she said.
this is being recorded. What am I doing?
And I was told to behave before you hit the record button.
I tell you, you get a bunch of guys in a room like this, and it's all downhill.
There's a couple of girls too.
No, I'm talking about
With or without alcohol, yes.
in person. In person.
We're only one in.
Great. All right, you guys good with Annandale?
Yep.
All right, that was fun. That was a good start, I would say. You know, these are all going to be quite different. Now, this next one is going to be extremely different. This one you need some water before you drink this.
Yeah. What the?
Because this is completely left field for Scotland.
Wow, it smells like dill pickles.
Yeah. All right. So let me talk about this. There is a short video I'm going to play on them too. All right. Hold up. Listen up. All right. Arbikie is how they say it, not Arbikie. Arbikie is a distillery in Inverkeeler, Angus, Scotland. The distillery was built in 2013. So again, a very young distillery on the Arbikie Highland estate, a 2,000-acre farm owned by the Sterling family for 4 generations. There are earlier records of whiskey production on the estate that date to 1794. The distillery is owned by Sterling brothers John, Ian, and David. Production uses barley and potatoes from the estate farm. Overall, it is stated, yeah, they do vodka too. Overall, it is stated that 90% of all raw materials in the production process come from the farm. Arbikie Hill, located southwest of the distillery. In August 21, the distillery began an agreement with the company Eco Spirits for distribution. In 2020, in December, they were granted £3 million to create a new hydrogen power plant. So they're really trying to be clean and sustainable. And then they opened a visitor center in 2022. What we're drinking tonight is really the only one that's available in the US at the moment, is the Arbikie 1794 single grain Scotch whiskey. Now this is a rye whiskey. This is a single grain rye Highland Scotch whiskey. So we don't see a lot of these. You know, we see some out of Ireland, or excuse me, yeah, we've seen a couple out of Ireland. We've seen some out of England, but we don't see a ton out of Scotland yet. that could change. This is aged in new charred American oak. So new charred barrels. Let's see here. It's a combination of Bono rye, Concerto malted barley, and Leeds wheat. But it is a majority high rye or higher percentage rye. So it is a rye. And this one's 48% ABV. So it's going to be pretty weak compared to what we just had, obviously, dropping in ABV and being a single grain. Dill pickles at a petting zoo.
Dill pickles at a petting zoo?
The petting zoo, the wood chips, yeah. That's why it's sawdust and stuff.
So they normally single grains in Scotland are done in column stills, but this is, you said this is using their 2 pot stills, right?
Let me, speaking of that, I'm going to pull up this video and get it buffered while we're speaking. Actually, there's a video I've got to skip here. Hold on one second.
They were randomly at the Arbikie was at the Phasig Tipton sales.
Yeah,
There's it
The-
was a little strange seeing them there.
one of the owners.
Yeah.
Yeah, we met. I remember meeting him. Not this year, but last year.
Yeah,
did
I
you
think
see
they
them?
were there again.
Yeah, were they there again? Okay.
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, talk about random, right? Okay, let me get this video lined up here. Hold on.
The nose is really strange. And the minty, the mint.
Yeah, no,
You don't need to hear that.
I like it. It's getting all excited.
Lucas might start dancing.
Charles, they just do rye or they single malt as well?
At the moment, I believe they're just doing single grain.
You notice the strawberries there that they add that give it a different bouquet.
What was that, Dave?
Did you see the strawberries?
Oh, strawberries?
Yeah. I think they add it to their vodka or their gin. Not the whiskey. I hope.
So they do gin, they do vodka as well. Potato vodka, strawberry vodka, chili vodka, some gins. But you can kind of get a sense of what they do just by looking at that. So they're very farm focused, obviously. So doing a rye whiskey is quite unusual, obviously. Anybody like this?
Low score ever for me, sorry.
Oh my God, Vinny is in rare form tonight.
You know, if I had furniture to strip, this would be perfect. If it was a higher.
Really?
Yeah, I like-
It's a little,
Well, it's way better than Avendayarg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Shalom, would you give that like a 34?
I gave that a 47. I gave this a 75.
Okay.
That was the fish egg one, right?
64. Could be lowest.
Wow, you guys are harsh.
This got better with the water.
The palate on this is okay. The nose is bizarre and the finish is short, but the palate's actually kind of sweet and grassy with some rye spice. I actually don't mind the palate.
I blame the wheat. I feel like the wheat disjoints it
Yeah, I agree. Yes.
because it's like a musty, like a weird sweet must rye.
Yeah,
That's the
yes.
least.
I wish they would just ditch the wheat.
Water brings out the foot funk.
Oh, good. Someone else is getting foot. It's like slightly sweaty
feet.
foot.
It's like a men's locker.
Yeah, what kind of boat was this like?
I put 2-day-old armpit with old deodorant.
Hold on, guys, hold on, calm down.
That's wheat.
How
That
are
is
you
the
sure
wheat.
it's 2 day,
As
but
soon
not
as you
3?
mention feet, the guys start getting all crazy again.
What's the body part?
Put your shoe back on.
Feet from the butt. I
Scary
guess.
butts to funky feet.
I didn't say whose feet.
Well, no, Beth
That's
Ann
what
wrote,
you're at.
water brings out the foot funk. Oh, wait, did you say it before? Oh, no, you said chapstick.
No, that was Luke. Luke
Yeah, it was-
saying he was
Luke is,
a type.
Luke is talking for Beth Ann.
Which one? This?
The iconic.
No, it's a trim one.
I mean, that really tastes like a rock. That's just a
Restoration.
Yeah, that's.
To the left.
Yeah.
This just goes to show you how wild and the variety of rye can be. This might be a bad example of that, but it's not bad. Actually, this would make a fun cocktail somehow, maybe. Pickle, you call it pickle and chips? You'd call it pickles at the zoo or something like that? Pickles at the zoo.
Whiskey pickle.
You make pickleback shots with it.
Yeah, there you go. Why not? All right, let's clear our palates with some smoke. How about we do that?
How much was this?
It was like $100.
Yeah. Again.
Vinny's on a roll tonight. He's full.
Vinny's been drinking since noon. We've
I
seen him multiple
Jeez.
times today.
I said this whiskey costs $100, and he said I would have left the $100 on the something.
$100 on fire.
Oh, he would have lit the $100 on fire and lit his cigar with it. Yeah. There you go. Yikes.
I didn't even rank it.
All right, get peanut gallery. All right, so we're gonna move on to Ardbeg. We don't need to talk too much about this distillery. Most people know about Ardbeg. However, I am gonna play a short video that speaks directly to this whiskey. That's by the distillery manager himself. It's just a 1-minute video, but it does give you a little bit of context because there used to be an Ardbeg 17 year that they got rid of, and now they brought it back. It's now a new core expression again. So
It's very light in color though. Is this like a third fill bourbon barrel?
yeah, I don't know about they don't disclose any of that kind of stuff. It's Ardbeg, but let me see if I can pull this up real quick.
What? Yeah, they have it in plastic.
Okay, let me share this. You guys just get a sense of this whiskey. It's just 1 minute. Let me put closed captions on. Let's open this up. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3.
With the Ardbeg 17, we've broken our own rules. We've bottled it at 40% ABV, and the whiskey has been chilled filtered. it was a big decision. It was a complicated thing to do. We had to work closely, Dr. Bill Lumsden and the whiskey creation team, about how we do bring something as special as this back. Dr. Bill obviously was involved with the original 17. It was his creation. So we luckily still have that knowledge in the business. On the nose, that sort of floral, there's like a minerality there. It's like herbal note coming through, but there's a soft undertone of sweetness there. So under that.
All right, told you that was short. So one of the key things he mentioned though, in that is that this is 40% ABV, so super low ABV, as low as you can go, but it is non-chill filtered, which is extremely unusual for a non or a low ABV single malt.
I thought he said it was chill filtered.
I thought he said it was chill. Yeah, that's what I thought. That's why it was.
He said they're not doing the normal Ardbeg where they don't chill filter because they're
Really?
normally 46%.
Did I say it wrong?
Yeah, it's 40% and it's chill filtered.
Oh, I thought that was what made it unique.
Yes.
Was that they didn't chill filter it.
Oh, what made it unique was that it was 40%, which meant they had to chill filter.
Right.
No, I don't think I've ever had an Ardbeg.
Still
Okay.
chill, bleed.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
All right, well, let me read a little bit about this. Released over 25 years ago in 1997, 17-year-old was one of the first bottles to leave the distillery after reopening. Unusually delicate, yet unmistakably Ardbeg, this malt found a place in the hearts of the committee and set an extraordinary standard for the future of our whiskey. Retired in 2004. Most people thought that was the last they'd see of the 17. But while times have been moving quietly on, its return has been years in the making, quarter of a century, blah, blah, blah. Bill Lumsden, meticulously 40%, just as it was back then.
3 years.
Yeah, so they don't mention anything about that, so I must have that wrong. So this is the 17, the new 17 year. This was not cheap either. This was like $170 bottle or $180 bottle.
If this was $50, I would buy this and introduce people to.
Yeah.
Like.
That was one of my notes, was a good introduction to
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, this is a very gentle
But I'm not.
Isla. It's very smooth.
cradles you, kind of get like, here's a little something.
Well, it's the nose.
Some of that herbal stuff.
Yeah.
And it's definitely an easy sipper. I mean, it's 40%, right? It's definitely tastes watered down, that's for sure. Especially after starting off with a 60%er. It's too bad that they do that with this in a way, right? Because you do lose some of that flavor.
Why 17? And I know this is there's no standard in years. I get that, but like there's a lot of times 18, 22s, 25s. Am I saying that right? Like
21s, 25s, yeah.
Why
Yeah, I mean,
17?
some distilleries do different dates. I mean, look at Craig Ardbeg, they do a 13 and a 17. You know, all distilleries do it different. Some of it's historical, you know, they're going back to what they did in the past.
I'm surprised for 17 years, it's awfully light in color, but maybe that's all the water they added to it.
Well, when you say they added water, to bring it down to 40%.
But Shalom, remember Ardbeg's history. I mean, it was not paid attention to. So, I mean, LVMH had it then, but it was not the gem of the crown, you know, like it is now. It's been through a rough 50 years.
Mhm.
So there's some tired oak on some of, that's why their releases are so random too,
Right.
sometimes. At least they're getting more consistent, but they were random for a long time because they had gaps in production and didn't use good oak and were closed and open.
And why is that? Because of the other parent company? Sorry.
Yeah, it just kind of didn't fall into someone's portfolio during rough times and would be closed, and then someone else would buy it and reopened. And but it's been under LVMH probably at least 20 years. with Glenmorangie, but it still has a lot of gaps and was never known for oak programs. That's for sure.
Their 20 somethings are pretty good. And obviously Ugadal, which is a big sherry bomb mixed with peat. They've obviously done
Yeah.
something.
That's an NAS though, right? So what, that's probably
Right.
8 to 10.
Right.
I just feel like the waste is.
But the 21 and the 23 are really nice.
I mean, it's very pleasant. It's good, very pleasant.
Well, so I'm overhearing Lucas saying, I think they've wasted 17 years. I mean, the reality is the Ardbeg fan base is huge and they're gonna buy this and they're gonna love this, whether we like it or not. And if they're gonna pay $200 a bottle for this, they're doing pretty well using some tired oak in 17 years, right?
Right. I mean, I like it. It's very gentle. I just wish it was bottled at 56% instead of 40%, then it would be truly delicious.
But then you'd be paying $500, Shalom.
No, the club would pay $500.
Right? No, but I mean, you see how expensive those single casks of Ardbeg go for? I mean, they're going $400 or $500 at the distillery. It's ridiculous. It's crazy. So that's the only reason this is. No, but like the all of the new like single casks that are available at the distillery are between $500 and $1,000 right now. And that's the only high ABV stuff they have, pretty much, you know. They've gotten very expensive. So they water this down, they can sell a lot more bottles at $200 a pop.
It's very smooth. If you wanted to introduce someone to peated scotch and say,
yeah,
try this, you'll like it, you will.
Yeah. Well, I mean, think about that.
I like it.
Like when you started drinking peated scotch, when you were drinking like Lafroig 18 or Highland Park 18, you know, some of these, those were also lighter, lower ABV whiskeys, right? And at the time, for you, that was a really great whiskey, right? That was what you knew to be pretty special Islay or Orkney,
yeah,
you know, whiskey. So you kind of almost have to approach this that same way, right? Like if you were a newbie coming into whiskey and wanted to taste a delicate, older Islay, that's not going to be unapproachable or, you know, harsh or whatever. This is like perfect.
I think $170 makes it a little bit unapproachable for a
Well,
newbie.
yeah, I mean, prices have gotten out of control. There's no question about that. But even though, if we go back and look at what Lafroig 18 and what Highland Park 18 were and what they are now, we're talking the same thing. So
they're the same price, but they've got, I mean, look, you know, the Highland Park's got the sherry cask, which gives you a little more fullness, and the Lafroig is very sweet. This is just muted across the board.
yeah, it does definitely tastes watery. I mean, there's no question about that to me.
Yeah, I still
I
swear.
like it, but I'm surprised they did this.
I want to introduce my friends to it. I want.
But I do like it. It's very, very C qualities to it.
I mean, I scored it in 87. It's not like I don't like it. It's just,
Couldn't I introduce a
Yeah,
5-year-old?
no, I get it. I get it.
Again, it's not-
I would love it if it was
don't do that.
higher proof.
This is definitely something you could drink all night though, and
Oh,
not get too hammered.
Yeah, so when is this showing up in the whiskey lounge?
No. This doesn't make the whiskey lounge.
Thank God.
You know, maybe
You don't like this one either?
$40
No, I like it for what it is.
Oh, okay.
What pisses me off about this is they did it for the market to sell a lot of whiskey and water.
Yeah.
This was a cash.
But this is what
17
the
years old.
original 17 was. It was 40%.
Yeah, I
It
Oh,
was,
is that what the original
Yeah.
was? Okay. So
But if this
Vinny doesn't like it because a cigar would totally manhandle
Yeah,
this
yeah.
whiskey.
You're absolutely right. Stand up to a cigar.
This would taste like water with a cigar.
Yeah, it
It
would.
already does.
I mean, if they kept this at cash strength.
Ocean water. I meant ocean water, salt water.
I really like it. It's just that we know what it could be
Yeah.
because we've all had our.
Yeah.
I didn't kill it
But
that
I
much.
like it a
Yeah.
lot.
I gave it an 80, which is pretty good for
Okay.
what it is. Yeah.
I'll finish. I'm glad I tried it.
Yeah.
How about
Me
that?
too.
It's been such a rough tasting. Jeez. I was so excited for tonight. And now I just want to like walk away. I just want to.
I said that.
Oh, but it's gonna get better. The next one.
I was 100.
The next three better beat the first three is all I can say.
I don't know how an Ardmore could fail.
At least the Ardbeg didn't blow us
All right.
away in the pallets.
So hold on a sec. We're gonna move on. We're gonna move on. Let me get this Ardmore.
Someone should form soon. But if you're 25 years old, this thing. No one else is like that.
Okay, so before we watch this, hold on. Before we watch this, let me tell you a little bit about the whiskey. So with each of these tastings, I'm trying to, bring in something that's going to be really unique and cool. We had some pretty great whiskeys in the first series. I brought in one of the Hunter Lang's old and rare boxes. This is I have one of these from a Kleinleach, and we actually opened it when we opened the shop. We did it as a celebration bottle when we opened the shop, and I still have some of that upstairs. That's a very special Kleinleach. But this is from Hunter Lang's Old and Rare. This is the bottle here. It's an Ardmore 31 year, so pretty old. This is probably one of the older whiskeys we've had in a while. This one was distilled in 1990. It was a refill butt. So, and there were 369 bottles of this. It was bottled in 2022, in July. It was distilled in July of 90. So that would actually make it 32, but it probably was just under 32. Unchill filtered. This one's 58.1% from Ardmore, which is incredibly high for a 31-year-old Scotch. So a little bit about Ardmore, just so we can, you have some background. They're located in the village of Kennethmont, Scotland. They're owned and operated by Suntory. So we know a little bit about Suntory. Distillery was built in 1898. So it goes back a decade or a century. It had its own maltings until the mid 1970s and its own cooperage until the late 1980s. And until 2001, it used coal to fire its stills. So only 23 years ago, it was still using coal for its stills, which is pretty cool. They do have the Ardmore traditional cask, which you do see sometimes in bars. I know Nine Maple carries it from time to time, which is 46% ABV. And then they have the Ardmore Legacy as well, which is a 40% chill filtered expression as well. That's pretty much all you see in the United States when it comes to Ardmore. But we do see a lot of independent bottlings of Ardmore, which is what we're having tonight from Hunter Lang. So I'm going to play a quick little video. This is less than 2 minutes, but it's a pretty good one. I saw it earlier and I thought it would be good. Get a little background. Nope.
Can I see the bottle?
It's
Yeah.
31 years old.
Yeah. You want to spill it by accident.
By the way, it's a 31-year-old face of like.
One of the fascinating things about visiting any distillery is in taking note of all these little details which contribute towards it making its own unique whiskey. Here at Ardmore, there's plenty for the visitor to take in. The Aberdeenshire distillery is home to the Teacher's Blend, but is increasingly recognised for its single malts. Distillery manager George Forsyth shows us the still room, where until 2001, The 4 spirit and 4 wash stills were heated by coal. Ardmore's been in the go since 1898. It was way back in the teacher family who built it. And it's really special because it's one significant thing it's always done was it's always been a peated malt being made at Ardmore, which makes a difference from other distilleries. It's also still a Victorian distillery at heart, full of interesting details that document its origins from more than 100 years ago. So the parts of the distillery which are quite modern are still, most of the operations, the final product is still made by hand, both the mashing and the stillhouse. Unfortunately, Ardmore isn't usually open to visitors, but the good news is that's due to change before too long, and you'll soon be able to take a tour for yourself. There's been plans for this now for a few years, but it's still the case, and hopefully in the next couple of years we can have a visitor centre where people can look around Ardmore and see how good it is.
Okay, so that was a little bit of an Ardmore background there. So teachers, blending.
Charles, I'm sorry, Highland Speyside.
They're Aberdeenshire, aren't they? Where's Ardmore, Holly?
They're considered Highland.
Highland, but are they over by Aberdeen?
I'd have to look,
Yeah.
but they're Highland, yeah.
They said that he said that they make peat, maybe because the Ardbeg was so peaty, because I'm not getting any peat on this.
It's old.
It's old.
Yeah, it's delicious, by the way. I'm getting lots of apples on the nose. I'm getting caramel apples and plums on the finish. This is a fantastic.
I mean, think about like older Bowmores, just that time subdues the peat smoke. Like older Bowmores, you might not even know are peated.
Right.
They're so soft.
Which one's a winner, Charles?
We got a winner. We have a winner.
I hope you like it, Luke. I know this was the
No, this
important
was-
one.
This was close.
Yeah, I love it actually.
Is this like $400 or something?
No, this was closer to $600.
Oh, really?
That's
Yeah.
why we're paying 70 bucks.
This one I love.
Yeah, it was 450 pounds, I think.
Wow.
Wow.
All right.
Favorite of the
Well,
day.
thank you, Charles, for putting this in your
For that.
club tasting. This is a special dram.
It's like, I'll just breathe it out when you're done.
I remember messaging.
Charles, show the box that it comes in. Like, show the.
I remember
Hopefully,
messaging.
hopefully Vinny didn't light too many cigars and he can buy one.
So the box is $100.
Well, I guess the box doesn't look as cool on video, but
Looks
a
cool to
nice
me.
lacquer.
Yeah, I can see the lacquer.
I worked in packaging, so if you give me quantities, I can quote that for where, how much that costs for.
They did send the box separately from the bottle, which was interesting.
That must have been a big.
Yeah.
This is up there in my scores, Charles.
Really, this guy's 58%. So like that.
Yeah, this was up there for me.
Is this, what is this, would you call this, oh, I was about to say, would you call this a single cask and says?
Yeah, you're not gonna have the opportunity too often to taste an older Ardmore like this, so it is kind of a special dram for sure.
Like how many bottles,
I've got it scored a 95.
how big,
Wow.
how many bottles should you get?
Beats the 75 of the
You could get that. maybe.
So the average of the tasting
Arbikie.
I'm just, I was wondering how much like your Canadian share comes out.
brought the average up a little bit.
So you get.
No, don't add water to this one.
No.
But, not at 58. Blasphemous.
You gotta, yeah, I was gonna say, there's a way to calculate this out. 700 hangs around that. And you can probably say how big, how many.
The peat doesn't hit until a minute into the finish.
Yeah,
Bottles out of the sherry, but.
very late in the finish.
I'm getting more of it though, the more I sip it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Same.
Just so viscous.
There
and-
is that like pavement tar on the nose, like that,
That makes sense.
I love how the sweetness sneaks through. You know, it's not a in-your-face sweetness, it's like a back-end kind of sweetness.
That's cool.
Ollie, your pavement tar made me think of rain on hot pavement.
Oh, I like that.
Appropriate because you're just.
Like up and down,
Yeah.
crazy, it's going 150,
Meanwhile,
105 degrees. to-
Yeah.
So this was when they were coal firing their pot stills.
Yeah, it would have been.
Charles, good pints, fantastic.
Fantastic.
So that finds a tar.
Let me see if I can get
So
the,
they put this in one barrel in 19.
so that's a really great observation.
And then pulled it out 31 years later. Yeah.
So yeah, this was made when they were coal firing their
That's what it
stills,
is.
yeah.
Luke, you're getting some walnuts in there based upon your message there.
Yeah, I think a little bit of that earthiness of the walnuts, but it's mostly the apple and then a
Yeah.
little bit of creaminess that you may get from a male.
Right.
So that's why I was,
No.
and then the peat can almost be, maybe I'm taking it too far, but something almost vegetal in there for me. I don't do a whole lot of peat, and so I do register the peat for me,
Oh,
just
yeah.
'cause it's not what I'm drinking most often. But it just lightly, almost like, something herbal or vegetal or something like that. But very tasty.
So there are some tasting notes to this.
Someone opened it and drank it. Right.
Oh my God, it says do not open.
Until Christmas.
All right, you guys got to send it all back. I'm sorry. All right, no tasting notes. This gold colored whiskey has a complex, intense nose with fruit compote, toffee, manuka honey, and a wonderful note of Highland peat smoke. Leathery and quite ashy on the palate with the smoke moving to the foreground.
Yeah.
It's joined by more stewed red fruit and sweet oak. The finish is very long, rich, and lingering on sweet smoke.
Yeah, it just sits there and like.
And this is a really nice little thing that comes with the bottle.
Dave Tobias confirmed too that it's Aberdeen.
Yeah, it's halfway between Aberdeen and Speyside, basically.
Aberdeenshire, yeah.
Yeah.
We should have ended with that, except for it doesn't line up in the alphabet.
This is a lovely dram. The more I drink it, the more I like it. It's not tasting like 58% at all.
No, honey and spice on the finish, delicious.
I wonder what we would think of this if we didn't know the age.
I don't think it matters.
Still love it.
I would still like it, yeah.
It's too late. We're already biased, but
I can forget.
You imagine if we did this as a blind tasting?
I don't know, I think it'd be interesting because it's quite delicate. I mean, there's a lot going on, but it's delicate in a nice way too.
But you know what, though? I think if we didn't know the age of this one, we wouldn't try to uncover the layers and complexity behind it. You know, sometimes when you drink whiskeys blind,
That's sad though.
I know it is, but you don't typically like dive into things as much if you think that they might be
True.
special or I don't know. It's, I don't know.
Yeah, it actually like, it's just, I wouldn't even care if it said it was Bardstown and had noise. It's how it hits me. I don't think about like
Yeah.
the age, like, oh my God, this is, other than 31 years is crazy that it's fine.
Yeah, this was in the calendar, I would never guess. I would never guess it's that old.
Right, yeah, you would never know it's 31 years old.
Yeah.
Now, what we did find, and Shalom can attest to this too, you know, 30 is a really sweet spot for whiskey. I mean, obviously, age doesn't always matter, and we always talk about that a lot, but if you are tasting older casks, you know, 30 is a really good area. Once you get up to 40, that's when things can start to really turn south when it comes to oak and all of that. And I know Shalom mentioned, you know, he went to an old cask tasting at Bunnahabhain, and the 30-year-old whiskey was much better than the 40-year-old whiskey that they tasted. And And I've kind of noticed that too. Now, there are some special older whiskeys, there's no question about it. But when it gets to that age, I think you really have to keep track of it.
Yeah.
So that it doesn't lose the beauty behind it from age. Because age isn't always a good thing. It can be overaged too, so. This seems to be a pretty good sweet spot for this. There's a reason why they pulled this whiskey at this age, right? They probably thought it wasn't gonna get much better than this. So, I mean, I would assume that. All right, let me line up this next one here.
Yeah, and the longer I sip it, the more the smoke comes out.
All right, I'm gonna play this next video. We're gonna move on to Ardnahoe. We don't have to finish this Ardmore yet, if you don't want. But I'm gonna play the video of the Ardnahoe, which is one of the newer distilleries on Islay. But it's pretty great.
Oh, yeah.
Some of us were there in June, which was a lot of fun. Let's open this up. Really beautiful location. On the other side of the water, not in this picture, but they'll show you another shot. You'll see Jura with these two mountains, the Paps of Jura. Right there's the Paps of Jura. Damn, it's all gone. Worm tubs. All right, we don't need to see merchandise. They're very into their merchandise. They make a lot of money on their merchandise, no question. All right. So let me read you a little bit about Ardnahoe and this next whiskey. I did finish my Ardmore, so now ready to move on. So they started in 2000 and wait. No, it can't be right. Oh, okay, they opened in 2019. The farm is the Ardnahoe farm is from 2009, but the distillery opened in 2019. They were the first distillery to open on Islay for 15 years, which was Kilchoman was the one before that. And they're also a big investment by Hunter Laing, which is the bottler of the Ardmore that we just had. So they're very much involved with this distillery. And we're seeing that a lot with independent bottlers and distilleries being connected. Edgewood Signatory, Ardnamurchan, with Adelphi, you name it, the list goes on and on. We also know that Jim McEwen was a big part of getting Ardnahoe off the ground, the master distiller from Buccleuch, who was also at Bowmore earlier before that. But it was in November of 2019, the distillery had welcomed 24,000 visitors. And they released their first whiskey in the summer of 2024, which was a whiskey that we tasted when I came back from Scotland in May. The tasting might have been in June. I can't remember. Did we? Yeah, or maybe I bought it in June and we tasted it later in June. I can't remember, but that was the inaugural release from Ardnahoe. It was a 5-year release. It was really good. Well, this bottle that we're tasting right now is called Infinite Loch, Loch. And I'll read a little bit about this bottle because this is a bottle that I actually had to wait to place the order for a bunch of the whiskey in this tasting until this bottle was available again because it's sold out. And there's really no other Ardnahoe besides the one we had already tasted. And I didn't want to do the same whiskey twice. So I had to wait till this bottle was available again. But this one's called Infinite Loch. Made by the Loch side, born out of a natural affinity for Islay, combined with a reverence for its whiskies, nurtured over more than 75 years in the business. Scottish family-owned Ardnahoe uses rigorously traditional methods, blah, blah, blah. Infinite Loch, fathomless Loch Ardnahoe, Islay's infinite Loch, undoubtedly adds to our stunning setting. But the real beauty of its proximity to our distillery is the Loch's exceptionally soft water. Filtered through peat and rock for thousands of years, it perfectly complements our boundless peat smoke and fresh fruits. Matured in a combination of ex-bourbon and ex-Oloroso sherry casks. This one's bottled at 50% ABV. There's one other bottling that I know of. Well, there's two other bottlings that I know of from Ardnahoe. One was a festival release, which sold out really quickly during the festival back in May. That one you cannot get any longer. But they also have a society, the Ardnahoe Society, and they just had their first release, which I can't get a bottle of because I'm not part of the society. But I know some bars in Scotland already have it. But I was pretty excited to at least get this bottle for us all to try, the Infinite Loch Ardnahoe. I have not tasted this, so pretty excited to try it. I was really impressed with the inaugural 5-year.
Is this a non-age statement or is it a 5-year also?
They don't have an age statement on this. So yeah, it is an NAS, non-age statement.
How much was this?
This one wasn't too bad. Let me pull up my
Online, it looks like it ranges from like 60 to like 170, depending on who you get.
Yeah, in pounds. This was 64 pounds. So, you know, $85, something like that. This was part of the shipment with the Ardmore, the Annandale, and oh, and then I bought a bottle for our next Scotland A to Z tasting, a single cask Arn. What do you guys think?
It's good. I like it.
Good.
Yeah.
Like I said, nothing on the front. It's all way to
Very nice.
I buy a bottle.
I would.
No,
I love our chocolate.
yeah.
So compared to the Ardbeg 17,
I like this one.
I think this.
I think this.
I think this every day.
And better value, better, you know.
I mean, that's
Better value than the Ardbeg 17. I still think the Ardbeg 17 had more going on, but it's not bad.
If the Ardbeg 17 was priced in the same way as this one, it'd be.
well, that would never happen.
I understand.
Ardbeg 17 would never be priced at this price.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I would choose.
I mean, even the Ugadal, which we were just talking about, we got that back in the shop and the price went up on that. So we're now at $100 for the Ugadal. So these things are creeping, you know. It seems like every time we get the same bottles, they're a couple of dollars more, or $4 or $5 more. You know, it's just slowly creeping. And then who knows if there's going to be any more tariffs coming Hopefully not, but
Unless they use 17 of one.
that would be another jump, possibly.
So where was this available, Charles? Just in the UK?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
This
Now,
is really cool to taste.
yeah.
Credit to you for, not many people have tasted Ardnahoe. So this is a cool.
Well, we brought back the inaugural 5-year. We tasted.
Yeah, and we drank it a bunch in Scotland, but we're still waiting for that to be
No,
launched.
I know it's not in the US still. Yeah. We had somebody email us a couple days ago about it. And I still have not responded. Being the good shop owners that we are. Wrong time to email us.
And they were like, people were willing to pay like $10, $12 from there.
I think less peat than the inaugural release.
It did taste a little like.
Yeah.
It seems
I
like
haven't tasted it yet, but
The one thing
it's definitely that a fruitier quality, like Suzanne said.
It actually is extra water where if you do that experiment where you know this like freeze it, but it doesn't freeze and then
it's really good though.
Solidifies. I don't know.
I'm really happy with this. I'm loving what they're doing. For being 5 years old, they're putting out some really great whiskey at 5 years old.
It's so cold.
It's pretty fun. You know what it's reminding me of a little bit will be our next distillery. How great their younger whiskeys were and how hot and exciting everybody got about their whiskey. You know, Ardnamurchan is right there with Ardnahoe. Ardnahoe's just a step behind. But I think it's right there. I'm really excited about this.
This is really good. Yeah.
It's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. Buy a bottle. Buy
Yeah.
a bottle. Wait, I did. Want this one?
You don't have this one.
No, I know.
Did we buy that in June? When we were there, or did I buy it
I bought.
in May?
Distillery of Ardnahoe.
Right, right.
And then,
But they didn't have anything at the distillery from them to buy.
they had the 5-year.
No, we bought that in Edinburgh if we bought it.
Wait,
Yeah.
did you say you bought it at Edinburgh?
In a shop.
No, at Ardnahoe.
Oh, I bought Ardnahoe and so at.
They had a whole store full. of-
Well, again,
Sold.
remember, they're part of like, they do independent bottlings of different distilleries too.
Oh, got it.
Yeah, Hunter Laing group, so.
I remember seeing this being built the first time.
Yeah,
first
yeah,
trip in
we saw
Ireland.
like the base of it.
Yeah, they were
Foundation.
Just, they were just putting some stuff up,
Yeah.
right? And then we went to the little shop, and that's when we bought
Yeah.
rainbow glasses.
Right.
That's the-
So that shop's no longer,
Yeah.
that's all in the
Yeah.
distillery now, basically. There is another shop there, though, in that same place. Yeah.
You did.
All right, that was pretty good. I really like that one.
Yeah, that was good.
How are you doing, Luke, with the peat? I mean, you're handling it okay? I know you're not the peat guy.
I enjoy it more and more as I drink it. All
Okay.
these ones with the peat, I've actually really enjoyed. What
Okay.
I've learned is what I don't love about peat is when it reminds me of pork, like barbecue pork, something
Yeah,
sort of.
none of these
I
have
don't
been
love that,
meaty.
but yeah,
None of these have been barbecue or meaty. They've been
No.
all, yeah.
yeah. None of the meeting. I've liked them. all.
This one a little bit, a tiny bit, but not much, just a whiff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Luke, are you a vegetarian?
No, I'm not a I love, I love meat. I love barbecue. I love pork. But with my whiskey, I just had, I started with bourbon, so it's more like almost like a sweet thing to me. So yeah, it's just different. Yeah.
Sorry. I was trying to get the other video set up, but it was playing it while you were talking. Sorry.
No worries. But no, I've really enjoyed all of these. The dill pickle, enjoyed it out of curiosity.
Yeah.
Kind of like going to a freak show.
Well, I mean, let's think about it. All right. Annandale was pretty solid. It wasn't like horrible. It wasn't like incredible, but it was pretty solid. The Arbikie was, yeah, that was the miss of the night, right? Unfortunately, because they're really trying to become somebody, and I want them to be, because they should be. The Ardbeg was good for what it was. It was not what we wanted it to be, but it was what it was, right? The Ardmore was superb. This Ardnahoe is pretty damn good. So we've had one miss tonight, really, of all of these.
You have to have one every night, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's part of the journey, right? All right, so let me play.
That's what justifies the seventh secret dram. When the camera's off.
Yeah, only for the folks in the shop, apparently.
No, because I don't turn the camera off because I've got the drama or the advent calendar coming up. So yeah, which I don't even know what the whiskey is yet tonight, but that's another story. All right, let me play. I'm gonna. It's a longer video, but I'm gonna skip through. I just want you guys to get a little bit of sense of Ardnamurchan, how beautiful it is. Cool distillery to visit. Holly was just there a few months ago. It's pretty awesome. Let me get this set up here. Subtitles. They're also one of the best newer distilleries right now.
So our story began in 1826 with the building of the original Loch distillery. It was in the Gorbals district of Glasgow. Sadly, the malt whiskey distillation came to an end in 1906, but the grain whiskey was still being produced until the 1930s. The last warehouse was finally demolished in the 1960s, and it wasn't until 1993 that the name Adelphi was resurrected, but this time as an independent bottler.
Oh, it's a deli.
By 2007, we realized that we needed to bring back control, not just of the quality of what was going out in the bottle, but of the supply. And really the only way we could do that was by building a new distillery. Obviously, this is not something you can rush. It's a bit like making whiskey. You can't rush it. And you've got to make sure it's the right place. You've got to make sure that all the figures stack up, and you need to know that you've got all the materials to allow it to operate efficiently.
Beautiful, beautiful place. Incredibly beautiful place.
The distillery is located in Ardbeg. You snake your way along the shores of Loch, emerging from what is pretty much the oldest rainforest in Europe. There were two main reasons for choosing Ardnamurchan as a location. One of those was that it was mainly already under the same ownership as Adelphi, and the second was that due to its remoteness, the peninsula was set up to provide for itself in terms of heat and water. There were in fact 7 sites that we considered for the distillery in the Ardnamurchan and Morven areas. However, even though this is one of the wettest parts of Scotland, in fact the UK, the irony is that we needed to find a place that had holding lochs up in the hills, not just to provide water, but to store it. The remoteness of the location presented us with a unique set of challenges. There's a short ferry crossing, and then there's a single track road, which narrows and keeps narrowing to, in fact, just 3.3 meters wide.
It's a fun road.
And between this and the narrow bridges, we determined fairly quickly that the largest single piece of equipment, our mash tun, could only be 3.2 meters wide. The construction team survived the weather, the remoteness, and of course the midges, and allowed us to begin production in July 2014.
With solar panels we use hydroelectric sources, and we use our biomass boiler. And all of these combined means that Ardnamurchan whiskey is made in an incredibly sustainable way. The wood chip that we use in the biomass boiler is locally harvested, and there is a renewable forest growing nearby. We're also pioneers in the way we treat the byproducts that come from when you're making whiskey. The pot ale and the draft gets combined together and dehydrated into food pellets, which is used to feed the animals on the peninsula. And the spent lees gets put through a reed bed, and it becomes a neutral pH and can go back out into nature. All our malt comes from Scottish farms. This helps us be part of the wider Scottish circular economy.
We make both unpeated and peated spirit here at Ardnamurchan, about 6 months of the year for each one. This gives us great flexibility for when it comes to blending our whiskey. We have 4 wooden washbacks and 3 stainless steel, and we use quite a long fermentation period. The majority of our warehouses have a dunnage floor. That's just earth. The earth regulates the temperature far better than any mechanical equipment could, which is perfect for maturing the casks.
The West Coast is in fact one of the best places to mature Scotch whisky long term. The temperature and humidity is relatively stable, and this allows the alcohol in the casks to drop naturally, which in turn brings more fruit into the flavor profile.
Predominantly, we fill American Standard barrels. These have previously held bourbon. They give you kind of sweet flavors, vanillas, coconut, creme brulee. The other main kind of casks that we fill are ex-sherry from Andalusia. Each kind of sherry gives you a different flavor profile, but broadly speaking, if you think of apricots, plums, maybe almonds or hazelnuts, and a degree of spiciness as well.
The entire process has been designed to create a flavor profile that you'd expect from this area. We have our maritime influence, the sea salt, the rock pools, the oyster shells. We have citrus fruit, dark fruits. We have a rich, oily texture with honey, and of course that lingering bonfire smoke.
Being part of the blending team at Ardnamurchan is probably my favorite part of the job. Unfortunately, it's probably only 5% of my job description, but the blending of our whiskey is what brings it all home.
Okay, we don't need to talk about blending.
That's very good.
Yeah, they're obviously, you know, they kind of a very forward-thinking distillery, sustainable, recyclable, renewable, you name it. They're trying to do it all. They're also, they have a really great cask program, so they've involved many people from around the world to buy casks. So lots of people are engaged with Ardnamurchan. It's really one of the most exciting distilleries in the last 20 years, I think, in Scotland. I mean, there's a lot of others too, but they're definitely in that, I want to say that top 5 of the newer distilleries. They're the ones that have the most buzz. The bottle that we're tasting tonight is a single cask. When we were in Scotland in June, when we went to Islay, we stayed in Glasgow, and there's a really amazing whiskey shop, almost as amazing as ours. Not quite, but and they're almost as nice as us too, which is kind of crazy. It's called the Good Spirits Company. It's a little bigger than ours, not much, a little bit bigger, and they're almost as good as us. We'll just keep saying that, but they did a really great cask with Ardnamurchan, and they're lucky as hell to be able to do this. But I popped in there before meeting our group over at the Scotch Malt Whiskey Society room, which is literally across the street from the Good Spirits Company, and they had this cask available for sample. and I tasted it and I'm like, oh my goodness. I was gonna buy, there's a Ardnamurchan release that's called the Midgie, which is named after the little bug that's a pain in the ass when you're out on the West Coast sometimes, especially on Skye, the midges. So Ardnamurchan made a release called the Midgie, and it's actually got a lot of press. And I tasted that, and I thought it was okay. And then I tasted this, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is so much better!" This single cask that the Good Spirits Company did. So this one is bottled at 58.9%. What else can I say about it? It's cask AD/08:18, cask number 1060, exclusively bottled for the Good Spirits Company. One of only 674 bottles, unpeated Spanish oak, ex Oloroso sherry oak, and Golden Promise barley. That's pretty much all I know, unless I scan the QR code behind me or on the back of the bottle and find out more, but we're not going to do that tonight. So what do you guys think about this one?
Very good. One of my
Good.
We see the bottle.
Yeah.
Definitely a sherry bomb. That's what I.
This one was around $100. Yeah,
That's about right.
something like that. Yeah.
Is this something we could?
No.
Is there an age on this?
No, I'm there. I mean, if I scan the code, there might be some more information. Did you scan the code?
They're pretty good about full disclosure about everything.
How many years have you been?
2017, Bob, that's 150 pages.
The bottle is being passed around, so.
Do we need the bottle back, Charles?
Well, if you want, if somebody wants to scan the QR code just to see if there's an age on this, because the QR code will
I'll do it.
disclose a lot.
You're IT guy, right? Yeah. I've got some blocks. I've got some block things here that, yeah. Hopefully this doesn't take me to some porn site.
My son was overhead. How come I have to do this? It's gonna take him, at least a day or two to get it done.
Pretty tasty dram. It's pretty rich. It's definitely got that viscosity. It's got a good mouthfeel to it. It's got a little bit of funkiness to it. Again, I think maybe from the sherry. I don't think it's actually from the distillation or anything. Or I mean, Holly, do you think any of that little bit of funky is from anything but the sherry? Maybe? Yeah. Because they're not known for funk at all, really.
Yeah, I don't think so.
It actually tells me who it's bottle time.
My second favorite, I'd say my favorite of the night was the Ardmore, and this was number 2.
It's bottled on
You gotta do
23/4.
Charles, you gotta do a Campbelltown, Aaron, Ardnamurchan
Yeah.
trip
Yeah.
Swing by.
someday.
No, maturation.
Well, I have to say.
What does it say?
When you say, the people are almost as nice.
Gas type butt.
As an Irishman, talking about Scott.
Vintage
That's not a high bar to get over.
Great.
Sorry. All the Scots in the room.
Well,
You
we're
can
not,
do Ardnamurchan, and what we did is we caught the ferry, went to Ardnamurchan, then caught the next ferry to Skye. So you can do it in one day. But Ardnamurchan,
Oban's not too far from there either, right?
that's pushing it. That's
Charles,
because then you'd have to catch the ferry to Mull, and then from Mull
probably
to
like 5.
Ardnamurchan.
at least 5.
Yeah.
It's tricky when you get out on these little peninsulas because the single track roads, I mean, even that trip to Skye, it takes all day. You know, you can do it, and I've done it a couple times now, but it's a long day of driving some pretty crazy single track roads and hoping you catch the ferries that you're scheduled to catch too. I remember that first time, Holly, we did it in 2019. We didn't have a reservation on that one coming over from Skye to the mainland, and it was a little sketchy because I remember we left so early, and we got there early, which was good because we got on, but you never know, you could get stuck and mess up your plans completely. But
Oh, is that?
Delicious.
Yeah, pretty good one. Pretty good way to end the night. I'm gonna stay on. I know not everybody has to. I'm gonna stop the recording though, because we're pretty much done with this tasting. But I'm gonna keep the Zoom going. You guys are welcome to stay on if you want. I'm gonna allow other people to enter the room for the Advent calendar reveal. But I am gonna stop the recording now. I hope you enjoyed Scotland A to Z Part 2. Part 3 is going to be in early February. There will be 4 more A's and 2 B's. So we're going to finish the A's in February. That's the plan. And start with the B's.
Well, kicking some A.
We'll kick some A out the door. I'm going to stop this recording.